So I was looking at the league table again today, and it makes for beautiful reading. There's a nice symmetry to it, actually, and it's not just us being in third, but it's the clubs that are around us and below us. It's the Reds are below us, basically, which is we're the best team in the Premier League that doesn't play in an all blue kit. How do you like that one? Anyway, I was looking at it. Chelsea, Man City, us, Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester United. Big clubs. I mean, all the big clubs are there. And we're there in amongst it. Now, I guess you might find it a little bit surprising, gone on recent years, that Leicester aren't up there. Maybe they'll come good, but, I mean, they've been a miracle story, haven't they, Leicester? And they've certainly got a good manager, good recruitment. But the clubs that are up there are all the big clubs. I mean, it's not quite the Sky Sports top 6, because you feel if Sky Sports had their way and all these other bigger media companies, they'd have West Ham out of there and they'd have Tottenham in. But it doesn't work like that. You actually have to win the football matches and get the points to be in the top 6. And we're in there. And Man United have been pretty crap this season, let's be fair, but they're still in the top 6. If you ain't in the top 6, you just ain't got enough points. Simple as that. And I was looking at it and I was thinking, what would that look like to a prospective player if you were one of the strikers in one of the top European clubs? I'm not talking about Real Madrid, I'm not talking about PSG, but those other clubs who we might actually look to buy from. You know, the third best team in Spain, the second best team in the Bundesliga, that sort of thing, where we might look and think, actually, we might like to buy from you. Discount the big guys, okay? Look, Man City have not bought a striker. Why? Well, because you sort of get the impression they want either Erling Haaland or they want Harry Kane. Those guys aren't coming to West Ham. I'm talking about the next level down, the next rung down. And I look at us now and think, how attractive are we to these players and these clubs? Very much so. I think you would have looked last season, at times last season, you would have seen us in 4th or 5th or 6th or whatever the case may be, and would have thought, oh, okay, there's a club there, West Ham, who are they? Oh, okay, they're up there at the minute, they'll probably drop down. I think if you were a player, I'm going to use a player, let's stop saying a player, I'm going to use the example of Josip En-Nesyri. I'm going to use it for 2 reasons. Number 1, he's at Sevilla, who are a very good club. Number 2, we know David Moyes was interested in him, okay? So if you're Josip En-Nesyri, last season when you're saying, nah, it's all right, I think I'll just stay at Sevilla, you're looking at West Ham, you know of West Ham's interest, and you're thinking, well, who are you, basically? They're possibly going to drop off. I don't know this club. This club are not, don't really have a modern reputation for all our historical achievements and great players in the past. And we do have a European history, of course, but not one that Josip En-Nesyri would be aware of, I think it's fair to say. I look at it now and I think that same player, if he looks at the table now, yeah, West Ham. Well, of course, West Ham should be there. They were there last year. It's this whole body of evidence of having a season and a half, having 60 games or whatever it's been, where you actually look at it and think, okay, well, West Ham are one of the best teams in Britain. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. It's even crazy to say it. But from an outsider looking in, you're going to look at that, and that's what you're going to see. Because of what we've done over the last 18 months or whatever, West Ham's profile is higher. And West Ham's profile being higher is going to do 2 things. It's going to, the general public, or the floating fan, if you want, floating fan, rather than the ones that walk. The floating fans are going to be, when they're watching the Premier League, they're going to look, oh, West Ham, we know them. They play good football. They're likely to win. The other one is the players. They're going to look at it and think, okay, well, that's a club that's probably worth looking at and considering signing for seriously, basically. And this is why it's crucial that we buy now. It's crucial that we use January as a window to strengthen. We have an opportunity now to really push forward. I mean, talk about Leicester. I mentioned Leicester earlier. Leicester won the Premier League. I thought it was brilliant. What an achievement! I felt, and I said this at the time, so I don't want it to sound too cocky now, because I'm going to say it about West Ham. And fortunately, I said it when Leicester were doing it, and that is Leicester winning the Premier League gave us hope. I said that at the time. This is good for football. If you are a fan of West Ham, if you are a fan of Everton, if you are a fan of Aston Villa or whoever it might be, for you to look at Leicester and think, oh, they've done it, that gives us hope. And I think, I don't want West Ham to be the standard bearers or the pin-up boys for the sort of clubs that aren't in the Sky Sports top 6. But if you were one of those fans, you might look at West Ham. If you were a Leeds fan, you might look at West Ham and think, oh, hold on, if we get it right, we can do that. And I think that's really good for football, and I think it gives fans hope. But what Leicester didn't do was they didn't strengthen when they were on top. Almost forgot. This video is sponsored by the OneFootball app, of course. There's loads of West Ham stuff on there today. There's going to be the unfortunate Ogbonna news on there, which I've just discussed on a video with Gio. Sad news anyway, we discussed that. Go and check that out if you haven't seen it already. It's not just got injury news on it, it's got team lineups, it's got all the league tables, all the analysis, all the transfer rumours, all the gossip, and what we're going to be talking about now, which is how West Ham strengthen in the winter window. There's going to be lots of that on there. You click the link below. When you sign up, you just click the support West Ham and it'll put all the West Ham news together for you. Best of all, it's free. Down there, go on, click it. I know you've come from Hammer's Chat. Okay, so Leicester. They won the league title, and then they basically got rid of a lot of their better players. And I think in particular, the two, they got rid of their midfield, didn't they? They sold their midfield, certainly, over the space of a couple of years. They got rid of Kante, I think that was straight away. They got rid of Drinkwater, whatever happened to it. Well, I know he went to Chelsea, but, you know, what a waste of a career that was. He really should have stayed there, shouldn't he? Latterly, Mahrez went as well. I'm not saying they didn't recruit well in the end. I think people like Tielemans coming in and all of those sort of things, they're good. They've made good signings. But at that point where it was pivotal for them to push forward, they sold. And for us now, this is absolutely it. And I think the money has got to be found. It really does. And I'm not saying it's just because of the Ogbonna injury, although Gio mentioning a couple of players, number one, Tarkowski, was interesting, actually. And I'll talk about that in just a second. But the suggestion is that Krasinski's going to sign, it's not signing up, he's going to buy 27% of the shares. That money that comes in, 150, 160, 170 million, depending on what paper you read, is going to go into the club. Now, apparently that's going to go to pay off the debts. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not a bad thing, because it means next season that that sort of bounce back loan that we get and stuff like that, where we have to end up paying 30 million each year to facilitate a debt and to pay that off, would then be used to go to players, but that's next year. Actually, I'd be tempted to take, and I said this before anyway, but even more so now, to actually take some of that, take 40 million of that 160 million and actually put it into signings, because we have a real chance, and of not just staying where we are. We may stay top 4. But the chance now is twofold. The first one is that we're able to push on and really clinch that top 4. Maybe even higher than 4th. I mean, I know we're in 3rd at the moment, but to give us some options, to give us some real attacking options on the bench, if there was any more of a stark warning, it's happened. It's happened with Ogbonna. Now, I think for all the reasons that I mentioned in the video that I just done with Gio, I think we can cope with that. That same injury to other players in other areas of the pitch, we can't cope with. We need to get the striker sorted out now. We can't wait. And here's the point on this. Because I feel the profile of the club is raised now, whereas before, En-Nesyri said no. Now, the suggestions were, at the time, that En-Nesyri wanted to stay in Sevilla. His family was settled there, and his kids were settled there, and he loved the lifestyle in Spain. If that's true, fair play. Don't bother. Leave the man to it. You know, you can't argue with a man who's talking about family and he's talking about schools and kids and being happy with his lifestyle. Fine. Discount it and leave him well be. Because you'll only get him over and he won't be happy. He's going to think it's bloody cold. His kids won't speak the language and stuff like that. It's going to be very difficult for him, okay? However, if what it was just him saying a load of press and PR stuff, when actual fact he was looking at West Ham thinking, I don't want to sign for you because I'm at Sevilla, who are a European club now. And when I say European club, I mean a club in European competition, whereas West Ham aren't. West Ham have just been riding high in the Premier League for a couple of months, so I'm not going to join. I understand. But if now he looks at West Ham and he thinks, well, hold on, you're going to be in, well, you are in the knockout stages of European competition now. You're riding high in the league again. You clearly look like you're going to stay there. You're clearly not going to drop off and be relegation candidates or anything like that. You'd look at how busy the stadium was in recent games and how loud it was, and think, hold on, who are these? Who are these people? What is it? I think the capacity is something like 63,000, 62,000, something like that. It looked pretty full to me at the weekend. I know it was Liverpool, but you'd look at that and think, well, that stadium's massive. The club are doing really well. They're in European competition. It ticks all the boxes. And you look at West Ham and you think, oh, they've got players that I've heard of. You know, England have appeared in a couple of finals, but, you know, they know about, these guys know about Declan Rice. He's going to know about Kurt Zouma. I'll tell you now, half of Europe will know about Mikel Antonio now. This stuff will be known. The profile of players is rising. People like Suchet, people like Fornals is playing for Spain now. I mean, that's not going to go unnoticed, particularly by somebody that's playing in the Spanish league. West Ham become more attractive. Now, this is the time to buy. Because you haven't, traditionally, what we've had to do as West Ham, we've had to throw money at players who possibly didn't want to come. And I'll give you a name in just a second. So we're basically saying, oh, please come to us. Please, you're doing us a favour. We know you don't want to come to West Ham. You know we're not a great club. So we'll give you 50 grand more a week, you know. Some players sort of reluctantly turn up. You don't got to do that now. You say, look, we're West Ham. We're doing you a favour. You're not doing us a favour. Come and sign for us. We'll give you European football and you'll challenge at the top end of the Premier League. As a player, as a competitive player, and I'm assuming that you got into competitive sport because you are competitive, that's gonna push your buttons. That really is. That's going to appeal massively. Which takes me back to a guy that was given that opportunity at a point where we just started a season where we'd almost, you know, not almost got relegated, because this is the end of Moyes' second stint. This is after lockdown. We had a good run. We don't get relegated. Second time Moyes has got the job at West Ham. All right. Tarkowski was our top signing. We went in with 25 million, 26, 27. I think we went up to 29 million, something like that. He said, I don't want to join. I want to join a Champions League club. No disrespect to West Ham. Not interested. We didn't take that. It wasn't even a hint. It was a fair, you know, a fair appraisal of his situation. At least he was honest, I guess. We didn't take the hint. We kept on trying to throw more money at him, at Burnley, and at him. So basically, come and please join us. He was an England international at the time. He's not. I don't think he's played too much since, if at all. But he didn't want to come. Basically, West Ham weren't good enough for James Tarkowski. Now, look, I guess we could be childish and say, well, no, if you weren't good enough then, and you know, and so on. But I think we'd be foolish to do that. As Gio's just pointed out, his contract's running out. We know that Moyes likes him. This was Moyes' first choice. It wasn't Zouma. Okay, the season before, this is Moyes' first choice, Tarkowski. You get the impression if Moyes could get the opportunity to pair Tarkowski with Zouma, he'd do so in a heartbeat. He really would. So actually, it may well be that's something he looks to do in January. You could wait and get him on a free, but actually, if he's going to walk away on a free anyway, and if Tarkowski is saying to Burnley, I'm leaving on a free, actually, you know, 6-7 million quid for Burnley might be. It might be appealing. It might not. They might want to keep their best centre back there and stay in the Premier League. Who knows? But it's worth a go. My point being, anyway, that wasn't my point. Sorry, my point is that we once weren't attractive to James Tarkowski. Now we will be. In fact, I'll go as far as to say James Tarkowski is the very best club that West Ham can. West Ham is the best club. I'm doing well, aren't I? That James Tarkowski can sign for. Okay, he's not. Man City aren't going to sign him. Chelsea aren't going to sign him. West Ham is at, if you want to be European football, West Ham is your best route in, my friends. And I think this is the case for a lot of these players. And I'll go back to Josip En-Nesyri. I know, by the way, people want to talk about Hlosek and particularly the link with Kretinsky. We'll do that at another time. I just thought he's young as well. I thought En-Nesyri was a really good example for the reasons I stated before. But for the same reasons, I think if En-Nesyri does want to leave Sevilla, or he is thinking he would like to go to pastures new and do something different, particularly it's not doing great financially, the Spanish league, as I alluded to in a couple of videos ago. But I think if he is looking at it and thinking, I want to sign for another club, let's look at his options. Well, Chelsea aren't going to sign him. They've just signed Lukaku. They're not going to sign him. They've also got the fella out on loan who looks bloody great, doesn't he, again? Come on as a sub. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He came on as a sub against us. Big lad. Very good. They've also, you look at Man City. Man City are waiting, aren't they, for Harry Kane, and they're waiting for Erling Haaland. He's not going near. Liverpool, no, you have to say it ain't going to happen. Liverpool just ain't going to sign him. That's not what they're doing. They don't. Anyway, that doesn't matter. They don't spend a lot of money over recent times, Liverpool. Anyway, you just can't imagine it happening. I also think that whoever doesn't get Haaland is getting Kane, and whoever doesn't get Kane is getting Haaland. I think that's going to be the case as well. I'd be surprised if Liverpool are saving up and they didn't spend big, only spent on Canate, because they're saving up for one big player, which they can only do every so often, just because they've not got the money of Chelsea and Man City, who has, let's be perfectly honest. And you start looking at the other clubs. Look, Arsenal are not going to sign this guy. They're just not. And then, and that's it. They were linked with Arsenal were linked with Paul Onuachu. It ain't happening, is it? Let's be honest. I don't know. Anyway, I thought, don't get me wrong, Genk were a good team, but he didn't look like Arsenal standard. Obviously, good, good football club. Man United are not signing Youssef En-Nesyri. All right, they've got Cristiano Ronaldo there, Cavani there, Mason Greenwood's, possibly the best young striker in the country. Rashford can sometimes play for the middle. It ain't happening. My point is, if En-Nesyri's signing for someone, West Ham now looks like the hottest ticket in town. But the key to this is we must spend in January. The board have got two choices: rest on our laurels and possibly get fourth, and probably get fifth or sixth. Okay, but rest on our laurels. We'll be absolutely fine. European competition next season, get the Premier League money, absolutely fine. But do you dare to dream? Do you dare to dream? Do you want to really guarantee that we'll get Champions League football? Look, Moyes has shown his managerial pedigree. Give him the players, he'll get us there, he'll keep us there. Okay? Do you want to gamble? It's a little bit of a gamble, but if you qualify for Champions League, you're getting 30 million anyway, just for qualifying for it. So, on top of it, if you bought your striker back. Actually, there's quite a good striker playing at Ajax at the moment, who's doing rather well. But we won't talk about that. That's another subject. Be brave. The board need to be brave on this one. I know it's easy for me to say that, sat in my shed spending everybody else's 30 or 40 million. But fortune favours the brave. He who dares rodders and all of that sort of stuff. I just think it's time to grasp the nettle.